Lapse the steering wheel here. Give me the steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on. Whoa.
You like my bass? You like it?
How the f*** is this possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? From the radio. The radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the Hanger State.
I am so annoyed.
Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park for May for podcast. What podcast is this?
Well, look faster, Todd.
943. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Camera. You know why I've asked you here.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
That's exactly what I need you to do. I am harmless. Tonight, for your kind consideration, we're going to cover news. I don't know that we've got a bunch of
controversy
this week, but we do have news. But before covering that news, of course, I got to bring in my co-host, which means I got to go all the way to the right coast of our nation, nestled near our nation's capital, doing all kinds of amazing things she can't talk about. You know her, you love her, the lovely, the redoubtable Grace. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Todd, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I think I'm not more excited than Paul Charsley is, but I'm nearly as excited with Paul Charsley and Heart of Racing's win at the 6 Hours of the Glen this weekend.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, the Heart of Racing, the number 27 Aston Martin wins. Very dramatic fashion. The Lexus ran out of gas on the last lap, and Tom Gamble and the Aston went around it. Yeah, it's exactly that is worth where the here. Yeah.
There it is. Oh, running out of fuel. That's
rough. The last lap. It's just rough.
Oh, that is the worst.
Oh, that's rough.
They're just
that's
rocking
rough.
the car, right?
Yeah,
like, come on.
I know. And Tom Gamble and the Aston Martin sped around him and took the victory.
Nice.
It was great win for the team. I've been watching, watch Le Mans, watch Watkins Glen this week. I've been watching a lot of sports car, obviously, because Paul's in it and because I love the sport. Have you noticed, Grace? I feel like the sport's getting invaded by the Nederlanders. I mean, there's all these vans in there. There's Van de Zanda, Van de Thor, Van de Linda, Van de Leeuwen, I mean, there's just a lot. And they're almost like the dog world version of breeding with the doodles. I mean, it's like the cockadoodle, the labradoodle, the sheepadoodle, the poodle doodle. I mean, the Vanda somethings are everywhere in motorsport. It's crazy. I mean, Paul can't turn around. He can't shake a stick without hitting a Vanda something.
I just think it's funny. Like, it is like the doodle, right? Because they've crossed every dog with a doodle. Everything's a doodle, right?
Yeah.
But could you have a more opposite personality than a doodle crossed with anything and a Nederlander?
I know. Yeah. Total different personality.
Right.
Yeah.
But all the same.
Yeah. There are doodles everywhere. Our neighborhood's got all these doodles. They're super aggressive. I'm going to sound like an Australian Shepherd snob, but the doodle, that's an expensive dog for a mutt.
I guess so, right?
It's an expensive mutt. It is. I think we could pump the brakes a little bit on the doodle thing.
I mean, I grew up where dogs just showed up. Like, people always talk about cats. Like, now I own a cat, right? It just showed up. That's how dogs were growing up, right? Like, what kind of dog do you have? Brown? I don't know. It showed up. You post an ad in the paper. Nobody claims it. You have a dog now.
You got a dog. Yay.
We got a dog once. We were at church. Mom opened the door to let us in as children. The dog jumped in. Now we have a collie. Why? Because the dog showed up.
The collies, that's a nice dog.
He was. Fox was great. He was a great little dog. But it was just really funny that it was just like, you put an ad in the paper, you asked around, nobody's missing a collie. Well, I guess we got a dog now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You don't have to convince me about like overbreeding or too many doodles or anything like that. I don't know. I was like,
well, that's right. Yeah, it's designer mutts. Yeah.
We had a black dog, we had a brown dog, we had a collie. Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah. We had a lot of those growing up back in the day.
Yeah, they just show up.
All right. So we've covered, let's see, Paul's victory. We've covered
Dogs.
the Nederlanders' invasion of sports car racing. And we've covered Doodles.
Yeah.
No offense to any Doodles owners out there. I mean, they're fun dogs and all that stuff. They're aggressive, but fun dogs. But
What are they crossing that doodle with?
I don't know. It's a Mastidoodle, Belgian Maladoodle.
I don't know. A T-Rex doodle.
Shoodle. It's out of control. It's out of control.
A German Shepherd doodle. That would be quite the
You call it a German. Oh, and there's a guy that was in there. It's a little dog, and it's a doodle, but it's a mix between a Shih Tzu and a doodle, a poodle, and he calls it the what's he called it?
No pressure.
Yeah, I know.
The shoodle? What do you call
It's
that?
something like the Shih Tzu-doodle, something like that.
Shih Tzu, yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it has to because Shih Tzu is a funny word. You can't get rid of the Shih Tzu part of it,
can't.
right? So it has to be a Shih Tzu-doodle or something like
Yeah,
that,
and I said,
right?
is it a doodle shit? I don't know.
It could be a doodle shit. That's
It's about that big. It's cute dog, super cute dog. Yeah.
It would be. Doodles are cute. Does it still have the little pony, the little,
It does. It's got the little
Pebbles,
curly.
little
Yeah,
ponytail.
he walks it early in the morning at dawn when I walk mine, and he's a super nice guy, and he's just the cutest dog ever. But yeah, it's a
yeah.
That's
why I don't know any of my neighbors. I don't have kids. I don't have dogs. I'm fine. I never leave my house.
Where I live, I don't really remember any of the people's names, but I know their dogs.
I mean,
know
it's what
their dog
happens with
names.
kids, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, your little Susie's dad, right? Like nobody knows anybody's name. They just
Right.
know that you're,
Right.
Frank's dad, right?
Right. It's a bit like F1, Oh, you're George Russell's boss. Ah. Yeah, okay. Should we get into some Formula One news? Everybody's like,
sure.
oh my gosh, what is this?
They love it. They keep coming back. They know
dog
what
talk.
They know what the non-race weekend shows are like.
They should by now.
If you, I mean, right? Well, we're like 800 episodes into this.
We're
like,
18 years into podcasting. Yeah.
If you're new, this is the off. You should see the off season, especially
I
that
know.
dark time between the last race and like January when people start posting stuff again.
I know.
You just wait, people. It only gets better.
I know. It's crazy. All right, let's talk about some Formula One. We've got some big news.
Yeah.
Big news. Should I do?
There it is.
Okay.
I don't
Enough
need
of
a
that crap.
soundboard.
Yeah.
I'm just doing my own thing over here.
Yeah, I liked it. Let's see. So big news right up front. James Vowles stays with Williams F1 for long haul. We're not talking about a Liam Lawson contract, a Yuki Tsunoda
4
1-year
races.
deal, a Franco Colapinto 4-race deal. That's not. We're talking long haul, right? I don't know how long that is. It didn't really say. But suffice it to say, James, the brains behind Williams' recent F1 comeback, just signed a long-term deal to stick around as team principal. He joined Mercedes from Mercedes in 2023. I guess he's 45 years old. What was I doing when I was 45? Not running an F1 team. I wasn't doing that. Grace, what will you be doing when you finally do reach 45?
You're so lovely.
Oh, you got a lot of time to think about that.
Yeah, right.
So he came in, shook a lot of things up at the Grove Base team. Remember, he said, "I love that initial thing when he went in, and I always forget the gentleman's name that has the podcast. It's a really nice podcast, and he does a great job. He used to be an F1 reporter before it moved to Sky. Is it Jake Humphrey?
Yeah, Jake Humphrey.
Yes, his podcast, and I'm so sorry I can't remember the name of it.
I never remember the name of the podcast
Something
or the other guy.
Performance.
Yeah, it's just Jake Humphreys, the other guy,
And the
they
other
interview
guy.
People.
Yeah,
It's like Wham. I don't know.
Yeah. We're not insinuating anything, Jake.
Oh no, I mean I'm just saying like Wham.
Yeah.
Everybody knows George Michaels and
Of
the other
course.
guy.
Everybody knows Jake Humphreys.
Right. Man,
I mean, he's like a household name, is Jake Humphreys. He's like a donkey's leg.
Again, I just
is.
remember when, donkey leg, yes, Martin Brundle. But I think that when he asked Fernando Alonso, like, so you lose, 80% of the races you enter, go. Like, wow.
Yeah, right. Right.
I mean, you're not wrong, Jake, but maybe that's a bit of an audacious question to be asking Fernando Alonso.
So I think it was on their cast that James, and he was saying when he went in there, said, all right, I don't care anything about until 2026. And this is like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, let's just break everything. Let's break everything. Let's mess everything up. Let's break all the molds. He completely, it's about like having an air fryer full of tater tots. Every 5 minutes, you got to shake the hell out of them, How's that for a segue analogy? Sorry. Stop me before I sub-reference more. So anyway, he came in. Remember, he had to get them off Excel spreadsheets. That's how they're tracking all their
and a
car
Mr.
parts.
Coffee. Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of a V lookup. A V lookup equals sum. Sorry. That's how that went.
That's not great.
Williams. I'm delighted to sign a new contract with Atlassian. How do you pronounce that? Atlassian?
You were right the second time.
Okay. Williams Racing, which has felt like home from the moment I walked through the doors. Now we have a platform to go for glory. Doralton Capital are all in on Val's vision, and Chairman Matthew, you got to like this name, Matthew Savage.
Oh, like Fred Savage.
Well, probably a pretty good name being in venture capital business.
Yes, that's right.
It's
like having the last name Speed, like Scoot Speed. Where else were you expecting Scoot to end up?
I don't know, Matthew. Did you buy Blue Star Airline from Gordon Gekko? I don't know.
That's right.
He said, quote, we're thrilled that James has signed a new I bet you are.
I bet
contract.
All the way to the bank, right? Like, we are thrilled. Could we think of a better word? Like, dear ChatGPT, how about you up it up a little bit? I need more than thrilled.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably should have ran that through Grok or Chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
He signed a new contract with Williams and committed his future to completing the mission that we are on together.
Oh, we are on this together.
Interesting that the chairman of Doralton Capital feels like he's on that mission together.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
He's
You're kind of the money guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know how much you're doing the programming over on the autoclave for the carbon fiber baking, but whatever. We're just being nitpicky here. Just being nitpicky.
Right.
What do I know? Matthew Savage may have a master's in aerodynamics engineering and with a minor in finance. I don't know Matthew Savage. I bet if I sat down and had dinner and a beer with Matt Savage, we'd be like this. I bet
there you go.
Buddies.
And you could be Todd Savage.
Yeah. That would be good.
The other guy in Wham.
I would be the other guy in Wham, wouldn't I?
Matt Savage and that other guy.
I don't know. I still think Doralton needs a little go-to-market help. I could help him in that.
There you go.
With Vowles locked in, Williams is gearing up to chase those championship dreams, and aren't those big dreams?
Why, yes, they are big dreams.
Why, yes, they are big dreams.
And that's what James is here for.
Okay.
The big dreams.
So, Grace, you and I are going to have an out-of-body experience. We're going to pretend that we're seasoned F1 professors, and we're going to grade James Vowles' first stint in Formula One as the team boss. We're going to give him a letter grade from A to F. How do you think James has done?
A plus 5 stars. Would hire him again.
Nice. That's almost like a Google review.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or like a Yelp review.
Right. 5 stars, Angel. Would hire you again. Yeah, exactly.
Had a shut-off valve in my toilet leaking, and James fixed it in no time and only charged me $20. 5 stars. Yelp. James is awesome.
That's right.
He sweated the pipes, Didn't use Shark Bite. Those are expensive. Sweated the pipes, got it back on,
Yeah.
brazed them like old school. James is awesome.
Was very polite, showed no stress, was calm,
Right.
cool as a cucumber the whole time.
Right.
Never raised his voice. It was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
So you give him an A+.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give him. It's hard not to give him an A.
I'm like, what flaw are we? This is like the season finale of Top Chef. Like, we're just, all of them could be Top Chef. We're just like, your mushroom is slightly too far to the left. I mean, what are you going to give less than an A for?
Ultimately, James is the mushroom on the plate that's slightly too far to the left.
I mean, he made Toto mad. That's great.
It is great. Yeah, it is great.
So I'm here for that.
Yeah, hard not to give James A. He's done an incredible job of turning that team around. There's no doubt about it. No matter how you look at it, and you could argue, well, they're not on the podium. Come on, man. They were at the back.
Have you never watched this sport?
Yeah, well.
Every Williams, I'm just saying, every Williams fan, we've been saying for years, you could go back just to these podcasts, right? You don't even have to go back that far. But it's always been like, Williams has been like if you could will a team to do good, this would be the team you would want to do it. Like, everybody's heart is into Williams, and he's finally doing it. So I'm like, yeah, they'll get there, people. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you got to give him time.
I mean, would you say he's got like 55 more points this season than they have in like the last 20 seasons rubbed together? Like, bring it down a notch.
I know. This team has been through the ringer. I mean, it's been, and the high water mark had to be Lawrence adjusting his junk and, in Claire's face. I mean, what's going on?
Can't help it. You love that.
Yeah.
But I think
It's hard not to give him an A.
I mean, right. Like, what he's done. And especially when you look at the other teams that are at the back end. He may actually get this team to do what everybody wants, which is get somebody from the back markers or midfield team to the front. He may actually break through from a mid-pack team to the top four. So watch out, Ferrari. I don't know.
I think it's a good point, Chris. If you juxtapose them with Sauber, Alpine, Haas, these are all teams. I mean, and on balance, Alpine, for sake of a long drawn out argument for another time, is kind of a factory Renault team, and the resources should be markedly different for that team than they are for Williams. And you could argue the Renault engine has been frozen at this performance, has been a letdown, and that may be true, as evidenced by them wanting to move Mercedes next year. But even apart from that, with Haas and Sauber and those kind of things, how has he been able to do it with a team that was literally on life support when Doralton bought it, and brought that back? You could say, well, Gene keeps Haas, maybe not on life support, but it is intubated. It was intubated there for a while. And, you had Gunther, which years ago I was saying, you got to make a change there. And finally they did. And Nio comes in and he's doing a great job as well. But I would say if you look at those two teams, very modest resources, funding both of those teams, right? Big changes at the leadership level for both those teams. And I would say on balance, I kind of feel like Williams is still getting those results, irrespective of the points. But I think, they're a good measuring stick. And I think I was going to be looking at that, that's got to be his measuring stick too, right? We got to stay there with Williams.
Why can't I do that?
Yeah, and keep going, And, but I think in aggregate for the last 3 seasons and on balance of this year, I think James has done a fabulous job. It's hard not to give him an AA+ for sure.
Yeah. Keep it up, man.
I agree.
Plus, they have to get more use out of the Vowles verdict zoom in, so he's got to stay there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yes. Sorry, it was on YouTube only. Sorry, that was a visual. Let's see. Big other news. Now, this is an interesting one, and all of the F1 press that carried this story pointed this out. It's not like I'm, revealing some big thought that no one else thought of. All the F1 press was mentioning this, but I wanted to talk about it because, you are you and you are the fan of the team you are. So the interesting story is that Brad Pitt apparently flew down to the Circuit of the Americas after the F1 premiere in New York and did some hot laps in a McLaren. He stars as the fictional racer, you'll recall, Sonny Hayes, in the upcoming F1 movie. And he got his first real taste of Formula One action driving McLaren's 2023 MCL 60 at COTA in Austin. The private test happened earlier this week with McLaren's Lando Norris showing Brad the ropes. Oscar even skipped the entire movie premiere in New York and went down to Austin.
Oscar was like, I don't have to go to that? Cool. I could go down and hang out in the garage at Austin. I'll do that.
I'll do that.
I don't have to hang out with those people, be social, talk to people, people be funny, shake hands. I don't have to do that? Cool. I'm going to Austin. I'm there.
Right. They kind of teased the event on social media, and then they put some pics, the overalls with Pitt's initials, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. The whole "It's a sunny day in Austin" sort of thing. Sunny, SONNY. Get it? Hint, hint. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Stop me. I'm not going to put my marketing hat on. Okay. So interesting, though. As F1 pundits pointed out, very, very wizened, sage minds in the F1 newsrooms, they pointed this out, and I saw it too. It was interesting that he chose to go with McLaren, given that the movie relied heavily on Mercedes for its development and the amount of resources that Mercedes poured into that team, helping them create the movie, with Lewis being one of the producers and, helping them in the cars and the F2 cars they mocked up and the whole thing. And it's interesting, Grace, Brad chose a winner to go down there with.
That's right. Never underestimate the power of Zach Brown. I think that's the takeaway of this story.
I think that's totally the takeaway. Yeah.
Zach's like, oh, well, you could be in that loser car over there, or you could be in my car, and you decide.
Right. Yeah, it was a good move by Zach.
I think Zach is the, you can't let the, down-home funny guy from the United States act fool you. It's not an act, that's who he is, but, you can't underestimate that, right?
No, he's a very, very shrewd guy.
That's right.
And he knows what he's doing.
That's right.
Sort of down home, the colloquialisms, hey, I'm just from India. What do I know? That sort of thing.
The guy
he's a tiger.
Paid for his entire career off a Wheel of Fortune wins. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. He was on. He bought a vowel, all right.
Yeah, he sure did. So I'm here for that. I think that's great.
I haven't seen any information on how he did. The kind of times he was setting. I don't know if they published them. I didn't see him.
I don't. Faster than I would be going. I don't know.
Maybe. I've seen you drive rental cars. Maybe not, if I'm honest.
That's not a McLaren. Like a Ford Civic. I almost said a Ford Civic. That car is not a real car. That doesn't exist. But anyway, I don't know.
You and I have ridden in a Formula One car.
I have, but we were not driving.
We were not driving. But we could have.
That would have been a mistake. For me. I shouldn't be driving a Formula One car.
That was fun.
It was fun. It was crazy. It was a crazy day.
Yeah, people say, were you scared? Hell yes, I was scared.
Yeah, I was fast.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going like a
Yeah, and it was like through a foresty path. So that's the other thing too. You're like, oh, those are trees. Oh, those are trees. Oh, those are trees. Like you're not like, because we've done
no tire barriers.
No, right. We'd done the karting, which was like, us just on a big oval, right? Like it's a karting track. Fine. There's grass if you fall off the island. Cool. Here, if we fall off the island, we're wrapped around a tree. Not so comforting.
Yeah. And we were flying.
Yeah. And you're like, well, this is it. This is either going to be the greatest day of my life or the worst day of my life. I know. So.
And it was unnerving because you go down into the corner and you just felt, because you're so used to road car and adhesion levels and tolerances of what a road car will do and not. and you go down to that corner and you think we're going way too fast. We're never going to make this corner. And your whole foot's going through the floorboard trying to stop the car because in your mind, you're thinking the velocity going into this corner is galactically too much for this corner. And yet he just tweaks the wheel and just right through the corner. You're like, you're pressed up against the side. Just like, holy cow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's nuts.
Anyway.
Right,
Thought it was interesting that it was McLaren, so good for Brad. I'm sure it was a great time for him. I'm sure it was eye opening. I'm sure, and as it usually is for everyone that gets the opportunity to drive a car.
Well, yeah, and especially on a track, like, right? I mean, we could all buy fancy cars, right? But like, where are you driving this car, right? Like, not around the beltway. That's just going to damage your car. So to be able to drive it on a surface where you can just be flat out like that and not have to worry about potholes and divots and whatever.
Right. I guess you could drive it on the top of the Apple building.
That's right.
Now,
Craig. Why did you say that, Craig? I don't know. It's what they say. That was my favorite part.
Yeah, box.
Where?
Yeah, I got to save my tires.
That's right. Why do you say that? Oh, that's what they say.
They say it a lot. So let's talk about F1 silly season.
Let's do it.
You want to?
I love it. It's not even summer break. It's June.
I know. We're already hearing, the initial semaphore smoke signals. You can start to see them. You can start to see them waft off the cliff out of the forest, signaling what may happen. The F1 driver market's certainly buzzing with a lot of rumors. And it's all really kind of connected in ways to Max Verstappen, despite him being locked down in a contract through 2028 at Red Bull. Right?
Contract.
Exactly. So Toto Wolff from Mercedes certainly has mentioned in the past that there's been some conversation with Max, et cetera, et cetera. And I think anyone would be stupid not to have conversation with Max. There's been some rumblings, though, about Max's contract and that perhaps there are clauses with performance clauses in his contract that could see him leave before his contract ends in 2028. And Christian Horner said in Canada. Canada.
Like,
they look the same.
Yeah, exactly the same. I was like, was he also driving a McLaren in Kansas? What?
Might as well. Yeah.
All right.
Not to confuse. I've been to Canada. Vancouver,
I've been to Kansas.
Victoria Island, lovely place. Yeah. And as a Missouri boy, I love our neighbor, Kansas. It's a beautiful place. Anyway, Canada, this is what Christian said, quote, drivers have performance clauses in their contracts, and there are points in the year that tend to be around the summertime when things materialize.
Right.
Now, that's an interesting comment from Christian Horner to be making and talking about these performance clauses and when they might show up, i.e. summertime.
Right. Unless you're Jorge Martin and then you did it like race 3 and you've already burned everything down and we've not even made it out of springtime.
Right.
Cool.
Right. He just said, this bike is crap. I'll never drive it, Aprilia.
I'm good.
You're pretty much done
just
at
burn
that
it down
point.
now.
So there's that comment that's got everybody talking. And perhaps even more interesting was the comments from George Russell saying, quote, he's talking about his conversation with Mercedes and extending the contract. And he said, no real conversations, to be honest, because we've got bigger fish to fry at the moment, which is making the car go faster. I know I'm going to be in Formula One next year. My intention and goal are to stay with Mercedes, and I think that's very much the intention of Toto as well. But more interestingly, he said, quote, it's understandable, the likes of Max has always been on the radar because why wouldn't he be on the radar? He's one of the GOATs, and I get that, end quote.
Right.
So you got Christian talking about exit clauses. You got George saying, well, of course, everybody going to talk to Max. I mean, and his comment, though, about saying, I know I'm going to be in Formula One, which would suggest, but we know how drivers are with this. It's like Ralph when he was, all these other teams want me, and nobody wanted him.
Nobody wanted him.
Except now everybody wants to quote him for some inexplicable reason.
I mean, again, this is like Jack Villeneuve. Like, I've been watching the sports for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It doesn't, as I was telling Flip, nothing Jack Villeneuve or perhaps Ralf Schumacher says makes it from my short term into my long term, right? Like, there's just no, I'm like, okay, cool. And we move on, right?
Right.
As opposed to like Martin Brundle, where everything he says, I try to jam into my long term, right? Like, that's a good nugget. I should hold on to that.
See, I think Martin, if truth be known, Martin probably owes us a thank you with the amount of gray matter area we have crammed all of his stuff in. He lives in there. Now, we chose to whether to house Martin's wisdom or not, and we did, because he's a galvanizing guy. He's a smart guy. He's a great guy, and we're big fans. So we choose to keep Martin here, whereas we don't choose to keep Ralf Schumacher witticisms there, right?
Yeah.
And hot takes. Okay. So anyway, interesting though, he says, I know I'm going to be there. And yes, everybody wants Max. Now, I've been saying this, not just this year, not just last year, even the year before, and even back when Mercedes wasn't bringing George in, I said they should have got rid of Bottas and brought George in much sooner, which they didn't. And now they brought him in. But I've been saying for a couple of years now that I think Aston Martin would be a good place for George to go. Because Merck has never really fell in love with George. And their attitude towards Lewis and now their attitude towards Kimi exposes that publicly, right? You can just see it, that they don't have that love for George.
It's like he missed it because he had like Lewis as a goat. Yeah. And now he has Kimi as a goat. Right. It's like there's no place for him to be a goat, right? Right. Yeah, it's just, it's sad. I've spent a lot of time carrying a lot of water and defending George. I don't even know the guy. I don't know. Maybe he's difficult to like. I don't know. But anyway, I think Aston would be a great place for him. The question is, will the team dump Lance to make room for him? Many say they won't, that Lance is going to be there as long as he wants to be. What do they need? Like, what thing has broken the back? Lance is still there. Lance doesn't even seem to want to be there.
I know. He acts like he's just totally not interested.
So what are you, if nothing has convinced Larry to get his son out of that team, nothing will. He could just be like, pew, pew, and that's it. And they'd still be like, well, we got to keep him at the team.
I know. Yeah, can you imagine that the team, and there's a lot of talk now that they won't get rid of Lance, and that would possibly see Fernando Alonso go back to Alpine because Alonso was seen in Canada visiting the Alpine team several times over the weekend. So that started a lot of discussion about Alonso. Now, does that make sense? Well, Alonso and Flavio Briatore have a very long and successful career together.
But that team is trash.
Well, it is, but I don't think Alonso at this point is looking for the title. I think at this point he's looking for a nice paycheck.
He's also not looking for a dumpster fire.
Well, no, you wouldn't want that. But
I think that my hot take, Jack Villeneuve style, is that Fernando Alonso is actually going to go Alpine to be the team principal. That Flavio has convinced him, I don't want to do that. I was just hired to be consultant. We're looking for a team principal, right? You weren't able to win. It's the Michael Andretti story. You weren't able to win this race when you were a driver. Maybe if you just keep owning enough teams, eventually you'll get to win it as the team principal. Right.
Well, that is a hot take, Grace.
So there you go. I think Alonso to Alpine, but as the team principal.
Okay. That's a hot take. See, I totally could see Alonso going back, get the band back together with Flavio at Alpine.
No, then he has to go back to McLaren. Go back to McLaren if you're going to get the band 3 times. Third time's the charm. You're going to actually do it this time.
Yeah, right. But there's always that Cadillac angle too, right? Nobody's really talking about that other than Valtteri Bottas and possibly Danny D-Rick. But see, I don't... I maybe Bottas, but to be honest with you, I think there's a lot of drivers on the grid that might be interested in that.
Sure.
It could be the idea of a new team, GM money behind it as a manufacturer, just like Audi, right? Mm-hmm. Nico going to Audi or Sauber early because of the promise of what's coming. There's going to be drivers on that grid that would be thinking the same at Cadillac.
Right.
Could be George, could be Fernando. Carlos went to Williams betting on the come, right? So you could
Well,
see some top drivers doing that.
But I would bet my house on James Vowles. I'm not sure that I would bet my house on Cadillac in the same way, right?
Yeah, Cadillac's a longer trajectory. I mean, you'd probably, if you're a younger driver, it may be appealing, but if you're a little older, it may not be. And if you're Valtteri Bottas, it's a ride.
Yeah, well, I mean, right.
Yeah.
Right now he's just making funny commercials and he's the,
Yeah.
He's the social media guy mostly.
Yeah, he's so far down in his own Wes Anderson life version of his life. It's so bizarre.
It is, but it's...
Yeah, it's very bizarre. So apart from all that, though, if it will be weird to get a feel for the fans' reaction if Aston ended up taking George and Fernando left, the fans are going to why would you let Fernando go
and keep Lance?
And keep Lance. Why didn't you get rid of Lance and you would have Fernando and George, two very good drivers?
But if you're a George, why would you sign up for that?
Well, Adrian Newey, Mercedes, Honda Power.
The team capped Lance.
I know. I see what you're saying. If they let Fernando go, they keep Lance. Would George go over there with a team that can't see beyond the silliness of keeping Lance?
Correct.
I agree.
What evidence do you need that he doesn't want to be there? It's like you see somebody like Joe who want to be there and are trying really hard to be there and don't get to be there. I mean, even Yuki, right? He wants to be there.
Franco Colapinto wants to be there.
Here's a guy who's shown no interest in being there, and yet he's still there. So I think, they can offer me Adrian Newey. They can offer me a lot of money, but at some point it's
it's going to take both cars to win a championship. It's going to take both cars finishing in the points. And, you bring up a good point. Would George want that?
I can't. I mean, if your choice is no drive or riding with Lance, then yes, you take it. But I can't imagine that's true for George either.
No, I can't either. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be an interesting silly season, especially if some of these people that are under contract are able to get out of contract.
Yeah,
So that'll be interesting to see. And a lot of people are still thinking that, Lewis is not long for the world of Ferrari either, and maybe he might look somewhere else. But
I think he only has to have more than 3, maybe more than 2, less than 5. I think if the rule changed, he doesn't have a lot of success with the rule change, he's going to retire. I mean, at some point, it's
I think so too.
It's just not, you were robbed at 80-21 and that's it. And we're just going to all have to move on with our lives.
Yeah. I think
gravity,
right.
old man time is all of us, right?
Yeah.
Old man time is not working in your favor there,
Yeah, right. All right. Well, keep an eye on that. I think that'll be interesting to see. Let's see. And then let's talk about this, Grace. This is fun.
Let's do this. I enjoy fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you all may remember that the people that own Formula One is a group called Liberty Media Corporation.
Yes.
Right? John Malone.
Yeah.
Chase Carey. Yes, those guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy.
And they have been given the green light, no conditions, total green light to complete their purchase of which is MotoGP.
That's right.
So the European Commission did their due diligence, their deep search. They even used ChatGPT, and they have given them the green light to complete their acquisition of Dorna, the exclusive commercial rights holder of MotoGP World Championship. Liberty Media stock has shown very strong momentum, trading near a 52-week high of $49.49. Ooh, just better give me 2 of those then.
That's right.
With a robust 22% return over the past year, according to Investing Pro data. Thank you. Hat tip, Investing Pro data, for that.
Thank you.
The transaction is valued at 4.3 billion euros. I don't know what that is in old money. Is that $1 trillion? I don't know what that is. Anyway, 4.3 billion euros in enterprise value is now expected to close no later than July 3rd. So we may...
It's like in a week.
I know. So the Americans may own MotoGP just in time for the 4th of July. Woo!
Fireworks.
Fireworks, and 4th of July is on a Friday this year, Grace.
It sure is.
Yes. And that, wouldn't that be exciting? Like, oh, the Americans are buying Formula, they're buying MotoGP.
Look,
So this approval represents the final regulatory condition needed to complete this deal. Under the terms of the agreement, Liberty Media will acquire 84%, not 100, folks, 84% of Dorna, while Dorna Management will retain the remaining 16%. The purchase price will be paid in what? Cash. Cash, cold, hard cash, folks.
Why does Espeleta only want 16%? That seems like a very, I don't know, there must be some reason why it's just 16%.
I'm sure there is.
But
I'm
okay,
sure there
cool.
is. Including funds from the Formula One Group and Formula One, along with proceeds from $1 billion of committed term loan financing at Formula One.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole lot of crap in what I just said. There's a lot of investment vehicles moving. Just know that this thing is being bought by Liberty, but there's a lot of Formula One Group and Motorsports in there, and there's a lot of gears under this thing, moving money from here to there and making this all happen. All right. So, we talk about when webs are woven, this is it. And Carmelo Espeleta, who has served as the CEO of Dorna since 1998. Were you even watching back then, Grace? Okay, 1998, will continue to run the business from its Madrid headquarters. Following the acquisition, Liberty Media executives, including Chase Carey, former CEO of Formula One, he's going to join Dorna's board of directors. Nice job for Chase, if you can get it. Quote, MotoGP is highly attractive premium sports asset and incredible racing, a passionate fan base, and a strong cash flow profile. That was Derek Chang, Liberty Media president and CEO. They got more presidents and CEOs. They're almost like the Vanda whatever. They're like Vanda Liberty over there. They're like the Nederlanders of acquisition companies.
All I have to say is, Liberty, don't mess up MotoGP any more than they're able to mess it up themselves. Like, just don't mess it up. You're fine. You don't need to go mucking around in there. Just let it be. Just let it be. Don't make it worse. It's fine.
So you're going to get bent out of shape if they come out on Netflix with the Ride to Survive series.
Not if it's good. I think MotoGP tried to come out with a Drive to Survive, and it tanked, and it was on Amazon Prime, and
I watched it.
I watched it, but I thought the Marc Marquez documentary was great.
The Marc Marquez documentary was awesome.
That was great.
Agree.
Do that. And I think
the Dale Earnhardt documentary isn't too bad either, by the way, if you haven't watched it. It's good.
I have not.
Yeah, it's good.
That was when I still watched NASCAR. I would be interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch NASCAR anymore when they moved to the whole playoffs and the championship.
Yeah,
it's like stick and ball sport.
I watched until the 2000s, so yeah. I remember the old days when,
I got a little salty when Ernie Irvan retired,
Oh, Swerve Irvin. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I remember when Bobby Labonte was the young guy. Now he's
I remember
90.
that. And Joe Gibbs Racing was brand new and shiny. Coach.
That's right. That's right. Then he went back, and then he came back. Yeah, it's fine.
And the Rainbow Warriors actually meant a race car team.
Well, but Jeff Gordon is not 90, but he's still out there,
Yeah. And, So, okay. Let's unpack this a minute. Yes. And I know it's MotoGP. And oh my gosh, this is a Formula One.
No, listen,
podcast.
people, join me at this camera right here. Listen, This is not the first time you've listened to this podcast. As somebody has rightly pointed out, this is the podcast where they talk about Formula One for like 10 minutes and then the rest of it's MotoGP. Deal with it. I just want to say, right, before you all get in your high, what I want you to do, look, if you're right now going, oh, I can't believe they're talking about MotoGP again. Unless you're driving, stop what you're doing. Maybe if you're at work, you shouldn't stop what you're doing. But if you can, stop what you're doing. Mugello this past weekend, just watch the first 5 laps. Don't watch the rest of the race. Just watch the first 5 laps and then come back. And then you'll stop kvetching about why it is all I do is talk about MotoGP. Yeah. That's why. Those 5 laps were great. Get out of here. Don't be giving me this business.
And if you are like a newer fan, or even if you're an older fan getting bored of Formula One, there's just not enough passing. That's the one thing that MotoGP has a lot of.
Tons of it.
Yeah. So, and it's all up and down the field. That's what makes it so riveting.
And if you just watch Frankie Morbidelli, he's just going to knock everybody off the track while he's at it. So it'll be fine.
He just runs into anybody he wants, and these guys, there's something a little different about going 250 miles an hour in a Formula One car and 230 miles an hour on 2 wheels.
Yeah.
With no survival cell.
I just think
incredible.
MotoGP is so much easier, I think, for a new motorsports fan.
I didn't watch it, but when I met you, this would have been back in 2005, 2006, 2007.
Oh my God.
You told me to order the DVDs. Was the Kentucky Kid, and what was the other one that had?
That's the second one.
The second one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
the Kentucky Kid and the Texas Tornado. That's the second movie.
Yeah, okay. Then I bought both of those. So it was all about Valentino Rossi and
Sede Gibberno, Max Biaggi, classic. Yeah.
And I watched both those DVDs, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Yeah, it made a believer in me, and I've watched it ever since. But so anyway. Let's unpack this for a minute. So I agree with you on the thing of don't mess it up, right? The other side of this is, so let's think about Liberty buying Formula One and the reason they did that. So many moons ago, I wrote a piece that I saw a long interview of John Malone, the head of Liberty, about his acquisition of Formula One, and it was a really, really interesting interview of him. It was long, and he was talking about why they were looking at this. He was talking about, ISPs and those kind of things, whatever, and he was even sort of talking about streaming and those kind of things. It's kind of whatever. And this is a guy who actually does have a crystal ball and was looking at technology from that standpoint. And he said that's not where it's at. Platform and service delivery is not where it's at. It's content. And content is king. And the whole reason that Liberty bought Formula One was for content and content development, because that's king, right? And so that's why they bought that. So the other side of that is Formula One has a tremendous amount of manufacturer involvement in all, and it happens that say versus Alpine and Renault, all the other manufacturers, the U.S. market is a big market for them.
Right.
And so when you think about, okay, so acquiring MotoGP from Liberty's standpoint, we've got Formula One, the premier class of motorsport road racing, cars, and MotoGP, the premier class of two-wheel racing in the world. We own both of them now. And the upside of that, do you see some synergies in the fact that let me put it this way, Grace. MotoGP, very Spanish, very Italian series. Heavy Spanish fan base. Heavy Italian fan base. Yeah. No doubt about it. So when they show up in Spain or Italy, grandstands are packed.
Just like Formula One is very British based, right?
Very
like
British
it's the same
based.
sort of
exactly.
idea. Right?
Same thing. So I was drawing these parallels saying, okay, for Formula One's very European series, very British centric. A lot of people will argue that it's all the media coverage is very British bias, which as an American, we can see that. It doesn't make me mad or anything. I don't really tee off. I get it. But I can see the British bias in the press too. Not a big deal to me. But on MotoGP side, are those similarities easily overcome from an American investment in being a series is very European-centric and, more to point, very Spanish and Italian-centric? Number two, from the manufacturer standpoint, I believe you can buy all of those bikes in America. Yamahas,
KTM,
Hondas, KTM, Aprilia, and Ducatis. So all of those manufacturers have robust markets in motorcycle markets in America. So that ticks a box.
And there's a robust biking, even from a sports level. It's just not MotoGP, but there's plenty. I mean, dirt bikes. There's plenty of
motocross,
even, super sport kind of things, right? So there's plenty of a bike culture here. Both sporting and just riding on the road.
There always has been in America. I would say, and if you're listening anywhere else in the world and you think, well, is America really a big MotoGP? Not particularly MotoGP, although we've had some really, really good MotoGP riders, world champions from America. I remember when I was a young kid, very young, I lived out in the country and I had a Honda off-road bike. And, one of my idols was a motocross guy. And he drove for a Yamaha or Suzuki, one of them. He was one of my idols. I loved that guy, and I loved to watch motocross back when I was not young. And I would say that America, certainly in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and stuff, it's always had a very strong, certainly motocross, dirt bike, dirt tracks at Indy. We went and saw the dirt track. There's always been a very strong motorcycle culture. Harley Davidson are huge right here. And then, even the 80s, 90s got into the sport bikes, the cafe bikes, the KTMs, the Ducatis, those kind of things, very huge over here. So is this market, not that we're the only market, but from an American corporation's investment in that, I can see that it starts ticking the same kind of boxes that Formula One did, right?
Again, and I think that it is like, I don't think I could get if I sat down with somebody, and said, hey, I'm watching this Formula One race, and somebody walked into the room, right? And like, oh, okay. They might sit there for a little bit and then they're going to wander off. MotoGP, I've never had, people are like, whoa, they get that low to the ground? Whoa, how do they do that? How fast do they go? Like, I think that it's just so much more visceral
in a
visceral. Bike in a way that you can't get in a car, even though we have more of a connection to a car because we all drive road cars, so maybe we have a better sense of it.
Right.
And we don't all ride motorcycles, but I just think watching it is just, you don't need to know anything to be like, wow. I just think that same, you just don't have that, wandering away from it that you would with Formula One.
Yeah.
And, they have the same things that any sports does. Not every race is great. Even Mugello, the first 5 races, I needed like a whole box of Tums. Then it kind of evened out. And then we got to the end, I got a little dicey again too. But, just like Formula One, right? Like sometimes you can, there's peaks and valleys to it, right? Where it kind of stretches out. And that's what all sports are like. So I don't know. I mean, if you can get people in the United States to watch Formula One, anything is possible. I really, again, like I said last week, people now say things to me and I think of everything else but Formula One. And they're just like, why isn't Formula One the first thing you went to? And I'm like, because I've spent 20 years where that's never what somebody was talking to me about. And now you're all talking to me about it and it's very surreal.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I'll just spitballing here, but I think one of the things that Liberty could do if they really wanted to amp this up is try to do some more joint Formula One MotoGP type programs. Yeah. Let MotoGP ride the coattails, if you will, of the fan base that exploded in the U.S. And try to tie some of those together. I think that might be I'm not suggesting, there's a Sunday race for F1 and right after that, the MotoGP or before, I'm not saying on the same weekend, but try to really attach those brands as the premier motorsport.
Like Ferrari and Ducati, right? Like there are relationships between these teams already, right? Yeah, like Ferrari and Ducati. Yeah, it's a great example. There is that cross in the shell and all of that. So, it's interesting. And kudos to Liberty for getting it done. And So I just want to say, so the first Mark Neely movie was Faster. The second one is The Doctor, the Tornado, and the Kentucky Kid. So both of them are from the early 2000s now, but I think they're both great. Faster is amazing. Like if you don't walk away from Faster going, wow, I need to be watching this. But I think that both of them will give you that recent historic perspective of where current MotoGP is. It just doesn't have the same history that Formula One does.
Yeah, totally
In the
agree.
modern era. So yeah.
All right. Let's do some Albon's Cats.
We'll do it live.
Oh boy, Grace. All right, hit me with some Albon's Cats.
I don't even know where to begin. All right. First of all, I'm gonna start with a recent discovery I had. So I watched an interview with Ted Kravitz was interviewing Brad Pitt, and so Brad Pitt, which I didn't know all this, right? Brad Pitt actually was a MotoGP fan. There wasn't enough MotoGP races on, so then he started watching Formula One. That's how he got into Formula One. I'm like, so you didn't make a MotoGP movie, but you made a Formula One movie. Okay, Sonny, good job. So anyway, so that's how he got into Formula One. So Ted Kravitz is interviewing him, but of course, Brad Pitt is like, oh no, Mr. Kravitz. Like he's being very differential, very like, oh, like you're Sir Ted Kravitz. Like he's being very differential to Ted as like, you're the superstar, not me, Brad Pitt. And, Flip makes the point that like Brad Pitt is like 10 years older than Ted Kravitz. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's so. And I was, because, Brad Pitt's got to be in his like 60s at this point, early 60s. And I'm like, is Ted Kravitz really only in his 50s? Ted Kravitz is only 51 years old. I didn't know that. Like, if Ted Kravitz and I were both single and living in the same zip code, we would be in the same dating range. Like, I really never realized that Ted and I were that close in age. I was like, when did that happen? So, yeah, Ted's only 51. So, right on. He should be Sir Ted Kravitz, right? Like, I was just really... I don't know. I think age is always weird. Like, I always think, like, LeBron James is older than I am. He's not. He's way younger than I am. But he feels like such an adult in a way. I never feel like an adult. So, I don't know. Ted Kravitz feels like an adult. I don't feel like that kind of an adult.
It's just a number, Grace.
I guess so. But, so there you go. In case you're wondering, Ted Kravitz, not that old.
How about that?
Unlike Brad Pitt. So then I think that, This is my Chase Carey story that Flip was like, I can't believe you didn't tell this story yet. So now, since you mentioned Chase Carey, I now have a segue to sharing this story with you. When we were in Madrid, right, and we were on our way back finally from Jerez after the blackout, and we got stuck, quote unquote, stuck in Jerez for an extra day and a half, right? So we're finally on the train back from Jerez to Madrid. And Flip happens to be sitting next to this. We didn't sit we were near each other, but not in the same seats next to each other. So he's chatting up with some people, whatever. I'm reading my book. It's fine. We're riding on the train. And as we're getting off, he goes, do you know who I was talking to? And I'm like, no, who are you talking? Oh, he says it like I should know. I'm like, I don't know. They seem like nice people. It was Chase Carey's brother. It's so completely random that because they were at the beach. They weren't at the race, but the train ride is like 3 hours or something. So they're like, well, why were you in Jerez? And he's like, because they were in Cadiz at the beach. And he's like, oh, well, we were there for a MotoGP race. And he's like, MotoGP, tell me all about this. So of course Flip is like, well, I will. And then at the end, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, my brother's Chase Carey. Like, what? That is totally random. Super small world.
Yeah, that's funny.
On this random train on our way out of Spain and to another part of Spain that we happened to run into him, and then Flip was like, what if he did know about MotoGP? And I just right, that's everybody's like, it's when you say something funny, you meant to be funny, and they're like, oh no, what if they didn't take that as funny? And I just insulted them, and you're right, you start having all these like doubts, and he's like, what if you really did know about MotoGP? And I was just telling him all about it. I'm like, I think he would have just told you to can it, right? Like you seemed compelled by your conversation to know about MotoGP. And I don't know, do I know what my brother's doing? Not really. So not that my brother's Chase Carey, but whatever.
Right.
Because his brother doesn't know he knows what MotoGP is about either. So there you go. That's my connection to Chase Carey. Also, I will put this out there. So you're talking about how MotoGP is very Spanish and very Italian. Well, Toprak is coming, and he's Turkish, and he's going to bring all his Turkish fans, and this is super exciting. And I am now super self-conscious about pronouncing his last name because now everybody has said it somehow differently. This is like Charles Leclerc all over again, but with like 12 more vowels.
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
I thought I had a handle on how to pronounce Toprak's last name, but no, I'm not sure because I don't know who's right and who's wrong anymore. So, and within one podcast though, I'll pronounce it differently, and I'm like, oh, Leclerc, I don't know, right? What am I doing here? So we're just going to go with Toprak. But that was super exciting news that he's going to come finally over to MotoGP.
He's a Vander Toprak. Vander
Ragalooth. I don't know, right? Like
Vandaluth. Yeah.
Vandaluth, that's fine. And so it was, I don't know. Maybe I'll get better at it. But again, I thought I knew, but maybe I don't.
Yeah.
And then... So I don't know. I have a lot of stories as always, but I think that a big coming out of Mugello this weekend. So Fabio Di Giannantonio did great as well. Finished third, passed Pecco, right? Like 2 laps to go. Great time. Everybody loves Digi, right? He almost didn't get a job, and he's like Valentino Rossi's foster son, and he's killing him, and it's great. So. Afterwards, Digi is just excited. I mean, he's Italian, right? It's winning his home race.
Yeah.
It's Zarco in France. He's just so excited by this, and that for him to finish third. He used the phrase. I told my mechanics it was either champagne or gravel. We would use the phrase "bin it or win it," but I like champagne or gravel, right? Like he was full send champagne or gravel. So I
that's something Danny Rick would say.
Right. So he was like, what was either, I got there and I was in fourth and Pecco's in front of me and it was either champagne or gravel and I just went for it. I was like, that's great. I like champagne or gravel is my new favorite phrase. And so I had some family visit this weekend and we were playing, I don't know if you've ever played this game. It's called Taco, Cat, Goat, Pizza, Cheese.
Nope.
Okay. It's a simple game. But anyway, each card has either a taco, a cat, a goat, pizza, and cheese, and you flip it over, and you're supposed to say the word as you flip it over. So if you say taco and you flip over taco, you have to hit it because you don't want to get the cards, and then the cards go to whoever's last, right? So, and there's extra cards in it too but it's a family fun game. It's not very complicated. We explain the rules to Flip. Flip feels that he thinks that he was cheated and we were lying to him about the rules. I thought it was pretty straightforward what the rules were. But every time he doesn't hit the pile last and we just push all the cards to us, he starts going, no, Michael, didn't you get my email with the diagram? No, Michael, don't put out the safety car. The whole time. My family is like, who's Michael? So my cousin Erin's upstairs taking a shower. She comes down, she goes, who's Michael? Because he just keeps going, no, Michael.
He should have used this one too.
No, it cannot be, Ricky. No, it cannot be, Ricky.
But it was just so, didn't you get my email? There's a diagram. Yeah. No, not the safety car. So now I have to explain to my family like what 80-21 is. And of course, I tried to make it like a simple 2-sentence explanation because they really don't need to know. They just need to know that he keeps saying Michael because of Michael Massey.
Right.
And I keep going, that's what Jonathan wanted. What are you talking about?
Right.
But now they all know. My family is now all experts on 80-21 just because Flip thought he was being cheated at a relatively simple, straightforward card game. And that was his like protest, was just to become full total wolf and, tell us that we were all cheating.
Well, breaking news story, Flip, you were being cheated.
It's how do you beat? He was just like, I didn't know these were the rules. I'm like, literally, there's like 4 rules to this game. My mom plays this game. We all play this together. It's fine. You'll get it. I just played it a couple times. Right. No, Michael, not the safety car.
No.
So next time you feel like you're being cheated, just go full Michael Massey. Just go total wolf Michael Massey, 80-21.
No, Mikey, this is not right.
No, this is not right. I don't know these cards.
Right. Good stuff. All right.
There you go.
How about some no shit headlines? What's some of
Let's
those?
do it.
All right. First one up. Dan Ricciardo seen looking very different as F1 fans share mixed reactions. He had a
full bearded now.
Yeah, he had full beard. Mixed reactions. Ooh.
I do want to say, so last week I was like, can we take a moment to talk about Fernando Alonso's mustache? Yeah. I neglected to mention Liam Lawson's mustache. What is that about?
Yeah, he's got some peach fuzz going there too.
Yeah, I feel we've had this conversation. I feel like blonde people growing mustaches is a very weird look.
Yeah.
Because they just kind of looks dirty. Like, it just kind of like, right. I just expect people are like, I don't know. As a blonde person, I feel that I have some space to say that. But yes, Liam Lawson also now sporting a mustache.
Yes, he is. Next one. Abandoned F1 track left covered in rubbish and vandalized years after last race.
Did somebody call Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Did he collect his little vial of dirt?
No. Now, can anyone out there guess which track that was talking about?
Is it in Germany?
No, but this may help. I give you a clue because my first thought was, those poor Jersey barriers have vandalism on them. Valencia.
Oh, Valencia.
The Jersey Barrier Grand Prix.
The only reason Valencia, again, when I found out that the drawbridge doesn't open and close or move, boring. Why are we watching this race? This must be how when my friends are like, Suzuka's a figure eight. Oh, it's not? Like, they're very disappointed that the track goes over top of itself and it's not an intersection.
Right.
It's not an intersection.
Right.
But, Valencia, really. Oof.
Yes, Valencia.
Nobody was interested in that. And I have to remember that when my friends are like, you went to Madrid, I've been to Valencia, and I think, why would you want to go to Valencia? No, there are lots of reasons you want to go to Valencia. It's not all about that 3 seasons of a crappy race with Jersey barriers.
Right.
There's a lot there, but that's what I think about.
Let's see. Finally, Lando Norris loses Nico Rosberg's backing after his actions at Canadian Grand Prix. I would imagine, I can tell right now that Lando's torn up about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gnashing his teeth over that.
I'm sure Nico he's just over there.
No, Nico Rosberg.
Nico Rosberg isn't backing me for the title anymore. Pearl clutching.
What's next? Ralph Schumacher and Jack Villeneuve hate me? Cool.
Ralph Schumacher says Lando can't win. No, not Ralph. The Delphic Oracle of F1, who nobody could stand for decades, who magically now apparently is the Delphic Oracle of F1.
First of all, Lando is well aware of his situation. It is not as if Lando is like walking around like,
He's a grown man, Grace. He knows what's going on.
He's well aware of what happened in Canada. He was there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he is well aware
he
of what
perpetrated his own demise.
Correct. So I don't think he needs anybody to say, you're not going to win the title now. I think he's got a handle on it. And it's a long season. And, it'll be all right.
He's learning that just about every animal, insect, bird, fish, reptile, anything that comes out of Australia is trying to kill you.
That's right. He's just now learning this. But
yes.
Sure, Nico Rosberg.
Yep. Let's see. Let's do some mailbag.
So who is Nico Rosberg tipping? Is he now an Oscar fan or?
Yeah, I think he thinks Oscar's going to do it. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Nico should get the black flag. All right.
Wow,
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's do some mail. Ryan McLeod asks us, hey, Todd, my thanks to you and Paul for doing the extra podcast on Le Mans. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed that. I found it super interesting. Despite listening to you wax poetic about Le Mans for more than 10 years, I've not really watched it. I was wondering if you have any recommendations how to watch it, if there might be a condensed version after the race for someone who doesn't have 24 hours to watch. For yourself, is it something you have on the background throughout the day? How do you enjoy it? How does Grace watch it, assuming she's on the show for the question, which she is tonight? Thanks from Canada, Ryan. Well, Ryan, thanks. That's a great question. Grace, how do you watch Le Mans?
I will say that I watch it a lot more because of Paul. Like prior to Paul, I would have been like, it's on? Okay, sure, right? Like, there's no other racing on, right? I'm a equal opportunity sports fan.
But we're doing it for Paul.
Absolutely. But I think that's always true. Like when you have a personal story, whether it's like your home team or, it's your person or, you have some attachment to it, that always makes any sports watching better.
Yeah.
So I really have watched it more because of Heart of Racing and because of Paul than I would have before. Yeah. I can't sit down for 24 hours. I mean, that seems nice. Like I don't know that, but it is always on, and it is fun to kind of just put it on, or if I need I'm just going to sit here and chill out for a little bit or fold some laundry or whatever. It's good to put on. But yeah, I don't think I've never sat there and watched it. Sports car for 24 hours. Right. Even a 12-hour, I've never just sat down and watched it. So
right.
But I do think it's you watch the beginning, watch the end, and then you can just like pick up spots, in between and kind of see what's going on. And you can always watch live timing and scoring on your phone and then be like, oh, something, Heart of Racing isn't where they're up 8 places. What happened? Let me go back and watch it. Right.
Right. Yeah. For me, I turn it on and it's just on for 24 hours, I may be working or doing whatever, and it's going on the other monitor, and I'm watching it and listening. Yeah. And it's a good soundtrack, and I can listen to it if I'm, eating dinner or making dinner or whatever I'm doing. But just having that play, and so I'm constantly hearing, all of the action on that while I'm working, and then I can look over. At nighttime it's a little more difficult because at nighttime it's very hard to see the whole track and lit up, so it's a lot of headlights. And then at some point, I'll stay up pretty late. And at some point, I'll get a couple hours of shut eye. And then I'll wake up real early to kind of catch. Because as the sun comes up at Le Mans, it's kind of a magical thing.
Yeah.
So I'll try to squeeze in a couple hours of sleep and then catch as the sun's coming up and watch the end of it. So, yeah, I just and Ryan, I just have it playing the whole time. It's a lot like what I do. Completely unrelated. I'm a big tour. I don't cycle. I'm not a bicyclist. I don't go out and ride. I don't do any of that stuff for whatever reason. Kind of like Grace turned me on to MotoGP many, many years ago. A guy that worked for me, it turned me on to Tour de France, and he is a cyclist. And so I started watching it, and I found it mesmerizing. And the whole aerodynamics and the whole way the peloton moves and the strategy and everything, it's amazing. And not to mention, it's an awesome travel log. I see places in France I'll never see in my lifetime. Yeah. So it's great to see all these beautiful shots and but very much like that, I'll be at work. I'm doing work and stuff like that. But I'll have the Tour de France playing all day long because there'll be like 5 or 6 hours. Right. So it'll just be playing in the background. Anything happens, I can look and see what's going on. But anyway, it just plays. That's how I watch it. Yeah. So, good question, Ryan.
Find a person. I mean, I think it helps that there's a lot of names you recognize, right?
Yeah. Well, Paul and Heart of Racing. So. There you go. There's your entrance.
That's right too. But there's because there's something when you're like, Robert Kubica, I know who he is, or Jensen Button, I know who he is, right? Like,
and there's numerous Vandas whatevers. Just pick a Vanda something.
That's right. And you can pick somebody and follow them along. So.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, that does it for this podcast. Let us know what you think about the topics we brought up and brought to your attention, the news stories, and you can share your opinion on those. You can do that at theparkformay.com. Just do it with decorum and civility. A huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. It means so much to us because we could not do what we do without you guys. Nope. This podcast would not exist if it wasn't for our Patreon supporters. So thank you so much. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, you just go theparkformay.com. On the right-hand side or at the bottom, it says support us. You can click on that. You can support us in numerous different ways. Patreon is one of them. So a huge thank you to all of our supporters. If you like the podcast, go over to your favorite player and give us a nice review. That always helps. And share the podcast with friends, family, and those people getting into the sport. That would be great too. We don't get a lot of echo in social medias out there. A lot of people consume our content. Not a lot of people share it. So do that. Our YouTube, hit like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon on the YouTube. That doesn't cost you anything.
Just mash all of it.
Just mash all of it. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Fun. So, all right. Well, until next week when we come back, when Paul, if he isn't out racing, hopefully we'll be back to review the Austrian Grand Prix.
That's right.
And when we get back, we will do that. And so that is next week. This is weekend. So get ready for the race. So until that time, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you in a couple weeks.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
It's not what I feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.